Hi there, Hamish McLaughlin here, and a big thanks for watching The Last Time I Cried, brought to you by AIA Vitality. In this episode, the normally jovial and easygoing Patrick Dangerfield talks about the 2 weeks that followed the death of his coach at the Crows, Phil Walsh. Phil's death shocked the AFL world and left Paddy in tears in the arms of teammates, opponents, in front of a standing crowd and an emotional television audience. Paddy, when was the last time you cried?
Last time I cried was around 2015, like properly cried. We've had kids since and been married and had some happy times, but around 15, after Phil Walsh had passed, a week and a half before, that was one of the most surreal sort of weeks of my entire life.
So what was the process? How did you get to tears?
The week beforehand, so after round 13, I think it was a Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Phil was killed. And then 5:30 Thursday morning, David Noble, who was the GM of footy at Adelaide at the time, now at Brizzy, knocked on my door. And when you see someone 5:30 in the morning and his face was just white, blank, and he said, "I need you to come in." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Phil's been stabbed." I said, "What?" He said, "Phil's dead. You need to come in." And for that day and for the next few days, I didn't cry. It was just total and utter disbelief that someone who'd only been at the organisation a really short period of time but had influenced so many was not going to be there, and not going to be there from, because he was killed. That in itself was like just, you couldn't comprehend it.
So you didn't cry when you were told? There's just a numbness around you?
It was just like, what?
Is there a sense of disbelief at the start? I mean, like, are you sure?
Oh, it's total disbelief. Because, that is what you see on Netflix or in a movie. You don't ever experience it yourself. You're totally removed from that. We're in Australia. It's like...
Safe house.
Yeah, exactly. You see it on TV, but never do you actually experience it yourself. Not until you do. I just couldn't believe it.
So then how does it play out? How do you get to a point where you actually let go and you cry and you wail and you grieve?
That weekend of round 14, I think it was Collingwood, Hawthorn, they linked arms
Friday
in
night.
The middle of the MCG, and that was a really emotional moment. It was like the league wrapping their arms around us as an organisation, and it's such a competitive environment you're in. You're out to destroy the opposition on a weekly basis and, one up everyone else. But the way that the league wrapped their arms around us as an organisation and how the club wrapped their arms around their players, that part I won't ever forget, because it was quite incredible. That was more than just a game that you could link arms and pay tribute as Hawthorn and Collingwood did. That was a pretty special moment. And then when that happened to us, that's when, emotions totally tipped over, and it was like, and let the emotions roll. Before then, you're sort of in damage control of how do we support each other.
You're the family.
Yeah, you're the family. And that's a really special thing about being an interstate club when most are from interstate, that you're there all for that common purpose. And when the leader of that common purpose is taken away, it's what can you do? And Scotty Camporelli, who took over as coach, I remember walking through, might have been a day or two after, it all come out. I remember walking past the coaches' rooms. It was sort of an open plan set up. No one was in there, and Scott was just in a corner. just quiet and just to himself. And I remember thinking and I didn't have the courage to go over there and just talk to him, but I remember thinking, like, what must he be thinking? He's now got to rally the troops, for want of a better term, and get us thinking about playing footy again in the most extraordinary circumstances.
So when was it that you broke down?
But the real emotional breakdown was after that West Coast game.
Walking off the ground?
Walking off the ground. I remember Nick Nat was next to me. I can't remember who was on the other side. And you're up against the guys who you've just crashed into for 2 straight hours.
And the guns are down.
And because Phil had spent, plenty of time at West Coast, and that's where he'd come from, those guys were certainly emotional as well, because they knew him so well. That was when it was just, everything was just laid bare, and the change rooms afterwards everyone was incredibly emotional, and we were all crying and left it all out there. And then after it, it's like, oh my God, just a total release of, yep, this is real. He's gone, he's not coming back, and what's next? When you ask when was the last time you cried, well, I look and go, geez, I've just been so fortunate, because you see so many and hear so many and read so many incredible stories of people that have just suffered such tragic loss. And you think of your own life and existence and think, geez, it's been just a total blessing.
Yeah.
But the Phil one for me is like someone that meant so much to so many people, had galvanised the group so quickly. He trained us so bloody hard, never allowed to walk during a session. He could either run or stand still, and was all of a sudden gone, and we've seen a real uplift in performance that, well, this is the right path, and it was done.
You get to experience some highly emotional moments in life and sport. I don't think in my time in footy since 2008, I reckon there's been a more emotional series of moments across the weekend than that.
Like probably the most memorable win, or one of the most memorable wins that I've ever been a part of, was the showdown. I'm not sure whether it was the following week or a few weeks after, but it was that showdown win. We'd been up by 30 points, and all of a sudden Port comes storming home in the last quarter, and we win by under a goal. Phil meaning so much to Port Adelaide people, and so much to this new club that he'd just joined. It was emotional, but it was not sad emotion. It was like the game plan that he'd developed, that Campo had continued on, and had beaten our biggest rivalry.
Do you cry much?
No, I'm not a crier. Well, if I watch a kids show now, or a show that involves children, being hurt or whatever, that sends me off now, because I just relate it totally to my own kids and what it would be like for anything to happen to them, and I just find myself I'm horrific with. But beforehand, I wasn't. I've always think of my life, I've just been so blessed. I've never played a poor game in Dad's eyes. That's true.